Every evening when the weather allows, we step outside to soak in the sunset. There's just something about the golden hour, the quiet, the breeze, the way nature seems to pause and breathe with us. After many evenings spent in that peace, we decided to build something that would make it even better. This video shares the journey of creating our own industrial strength, porch-style swing set, built not just for the durability, but for the connection. It's a place to sit, reflect, and gather with those we love. We've already had neighbors stop by and say, wow, and we're just getting started. Plans are in motion to add more swings for our grandchildren so that their laughter can echo alongside ours. We hope this inspires you to build your own version of serenity right outside your own door. I do know that our kittens and our dog love it also. Made a decision to put a swing set out here and build it from scratch with some whatever lumber I have available and also some old utility poles. So I'm going to start digging my first hole, and that ground is harder than a brick. It took about at least 10 minutes to get down to that depth, and look at the edges. Look how clean the edges of this hole are. It's coming out in powder. So I went and got some water and put down the hole. That was 2 gallons of water that I poured in there at least 20 minutes ago, and it hasn't even dissipated yet. Okay, so it's been a week since I poured that concrete on that post over there. So it's nice and solid at the moment. I removed the 3 stabilizers, and setting this post in the hole was much easier because I learned a couple of techniques from putting that one in, and consequently I was able to do it myself without my wife's help. So now we're getting ready to pour this concrete. Although it may not look like it from here, that's a 12 foot between those 2 posts. So that should be plenty of room for 2 single seats, a swing version, and then 1 double seat. And then I still got to figure out what I'm doing up here. I don't believe they're ever going to be that tall. I'll have to cut them off, but then I've got to put one across, of course. And I may be doing some stabilizers out there. This is kind of being built like everything I build. Figure it out as you go.
Putting concrete in our second post. Right, babe?
Yep. Doing is pouring them in about half of the bag, adding water, tamping it with a heavy steel post to mix it all up like this, and then adding the rest of the sack and doing it all over again. Well, I'm putting in some stabilization poles for the tall part of this, and they do have an outward, outbound by about 2 foot center from the 12-foot line that's on the large post. Mostly that's done to widen the view, also so that any wild swinging won't get caught up into a post. And I also thought that it gave it a little bit of, you know, a better aesthetic look. And with Carrie's recommendation, we went with this size post rather than the big giant ones, just to start scaling it down at this moment. But you know what? It's an industrial swing set. 4x4 posts will be coming off of the big one. And then coming over to here.
Just a second. Okay.
Mosquitoes out today.
No kidding.
Well, and be coming over to here, and will be fastened whatever height I determine is going to be correct here. They will extend out a little bit here, a standard 4x4 treated post. Then, you know, the rest of it is just going to be played out as we go along. I'm thinking of some little climbing area off of one side, you know, old school playground. Anyway, that's where we're at now. With a little bit of research, I determined that my best crossbeam height was going to be at about 10 feet. So I actually went, this is my 10-foot mark, and I went with 10.6, and then grooved the top of it, or V'd the top of it, so that when I set my crossbeam post on here, it will not try and roll off until I have a chance to, you know, get it securely fastened. I will most likely be using some sort of side brackets for that. I decided to go with a 20-foot crossbeam. Centers on these verticals are 12 feet. So that's going to give me a nice overhang to add additional swings if we want to do that later. This was done with a standard circular saw, adjusting the height and then turning it for angles, and then just finishing it up with a electric chainsaw. What I'm doing here is I've got to use the tractor, of course, to pick up a pole that probably weighs, I don't know, 1,500 pounds, and it pretty much maxes out my tractor's ability. So in order to, I've got to get it up at 12 feet here, or 11 and a half, or whatever it is, and set it down on this. I'm a little bit out of alignment, then I'll have to reposition. So I'm going to try and put these up and see if it assists in my setting of them. That way I can push against it if I'm a little bit out of alignment. We'll see.
Well, that's a good idea.
If that works. Put too much pressure on my security posts. I need to get this one over some more, so we'll see if I can.
Oh, I can see that.
I can actually move it or not.
Of course you can. You're my strong man.
Okay.
Woohoo! And then how do you keep that up there?
Well, there's a couple of ways to do it. I can put, you know, either a metal bracket on here or something nice looking similar to what I did on the back, but on both sides.
Okay. Cool.
I mean, it's not going to blow off of there, I know that.
No.
What if, you know, something like the wood decided to split or whatever. So, you know, just safety. I just spent the last hour power washing the two uprights and the horizontal here so that we can paint them the same color as the trim that is on the house. I've got the, we're gonna call it a porch swing, just to differentiate it from, you know, a little kid swing, but let's see if we can get it hung today, and then we'll figure out the children's swing parts, and I believe we're gonna do one on the outer, one on each of the outer edge, meaning I would have to take that bolt out, swing that over to here, and do it, do those braces to the inside rather than the out. Those are mostly a visual thing anyway. I don't believe it needed anything, but I had them and did it. So. All right.
Okay, and then these red benches that we painted will go to the inside here on each side.
Kind of facing each other, and then you give a little, you know,
gathering place.
Sit down gathering place.
We can have some people on both benches and on the porch swing and gather and talk and watch the sunset.
These chains I put on here are supposedly 550-pound break strength, so I don't see any reason can't handle a porch swing and two people. We'll see.
Because you and I don't weigh 500 pounds together.
Well, you and I both, plus the weight of the swing, which is heavy, heavy duty. And it all has to be hanging off of one. So you're splitting that in half with two, so I don't see it being an issue.
We should be okay.
All right, I'll go get the tractor and the swing and see what happens next.
Okay.
I do realize that most people who, you know, doesn't have a tractor would not be able to build something this big and industrial. But my thought here was to inspire you to use whatever you may have laying around to build your own version. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Come back and see us.
Here comes the sun.